Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of Retail Resilient. Car dealers all over the country love working with us, and let me tell you why. We have two product solutions that they absolutely love using. The first product solution is a Facebook and Instagram school where we build out a curriculum for salespeople and managers. We teach them how to create new car offers, used car offers, and get pre-approved offers. We also have a campaign management program where we generate leads for them, and then they do what they do best, they sell cars. So we train their sales staff on how to handle social media leads. Our car dealers typically say to us, I had the highest grossing month in the history of my business. I'm up double in my volume year over year. We even had a client the other day that told me that he was absolutely blessed because he loved our customer service. Everyone at Retail Resilient works remotely from home. I hire only car people from all over the country, so I hire all A players. They're really good at what they do, and we absolutely love helping car dealers. So give us a try, give us a shout. You know, any opportunity, we would love to see if we're a fit to work with you.
Thanks, Gail. A couple of books. There's more than a few books on customer experience. Blake Morgan, if you're not familiar with her, she writes articles almost every day on customer experience on LinkedIn and elsewhere. Customer Experience 3.0 from John Goodman, and Getting Service Right from Jeff Possier, I think is how you pronounce it.
Hi, this is Barry Jordan from whitegloveperformancegroup.com. I'd like to take a few moments of your time to share how we can make you more profitable. Dealerships all over North America are using our cloud-based power dialing platform, Touchpoint, to manage their outbound sales-generating phone calls. With Touchpoint, your agents can make up to 50 calls an hour. Leave a voicemail, send an email with a link to a video or to your website, all with a click of the mouse. We specialize in empowering your teams to make the calls that make the sales. How can Touchpoint help you increase profit? Check us out, whitegloveperformancegroup.com. That's whitegloveperformancegroup.com.
Thanks, Barry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Good morning, everybody, and those of you who have joined us before know it's disclaimer time, and the views and opinions of expressed on the Auto Hub show are those of our guest speakers and guests, and do not necessarily, whether we agree or not, reflect the official policy or the position of the Auto Hub show, or Ian Nethercott or myself, Jeff Polo. And of course, this is just how we cover ourselves as we move along.
Thanks, Jeff.
In a busy dealership environment, finding time, ways, and means to maximize sales potential can seem overwhelming. And that's where we come in with the Performance Management Partnership, a unique and proven solution to help you increase sales and market share. The program includes needs-specific skills training, coaching, mentoring, and counseling. By focusing on critical factors, behavior goals, outcome goals, and performance-specific analytics, we help you build an effective, high-performance sales culture. As your team increases sales by an average of just 1 or 2 deals per month per sales rep, the math will speak for itself. For example, 2 additional sales times 6 sales reps over 12 months equals 144 additional sales per year. Multiply that by an average front and back end gross of $3,000, and you just made an extra $432,000. We've helped dealerships achieve closing ratios as high as 51.9% and volume increases as high as 43.7%. And we do this with the program's ongoing support, weekly phone conferences, monthly on-site meetings, and precise feedback targeting specific needs. Call us to learn more.
Thanks, John. And today it's how to engage and sell more cars with technology in 2021. So take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Ian. It's very funny. I don't think any of us can imagine how we can get by today in the car business without technology. And, I remember, I'm old enough to remember back when we got computers on the desks and DMS systems, and there's this black screen with green flashing letters on it. And this was like amazing. And now we've taken it, of course, as it goes along step after step after step. So today we have a very eclectic mix of people related to technology in the automotive industry. And we'll start right away with introductions. We have Tim Cox, who's the Senior Vice President and co-founder of CarNow in Atlanta, Georgia. Originally, I wrote down Hotlanta, but I didn't want to be disrespectful. Tim, can you take a moment and introduce yourself to everybody?
Hey, honored to be on, and been in the car business since 1989. Sat in a few chairs, and we started CarNow in the December, or actually we went live with 0 paying dealerships, which is fun to think about, in December 1st of 2014. We've been blessed, we feel, as we should close out the month with about 5,000 dealer partners. So learning every day, staying stupid, and getting in rooms like this, and hopefully listening more than I'm talking. And we'll just keep getting better every day.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a question for you, though. Please tell me your offices are right above the stadium where the Atlanta Braves play. Please tell me.
It's actually the old Atlanta Braves office. So when they sold out the stadium, when they were selling the seats, because it was SunTrust Park, the office came available. Now I'm in the office tomorrow, but today that is a still shot, but that is our conference room. And we're very fortunate to have such a really cool space, because we can watch baseball games and still get work done sometimes. So that's good.
Well, I got to tell you, you just beat out Microsoft for ping pong tables and everything else. So,
but we do have Pop-A-Shot and pool tables, so and bean bags. So every tech company has to have bean bags.
well, you got to have beanbags, man. You know, it's there. Next, we have James Baining joining us, who's an automotive GM, a platform director, an early adapter of technology in automotive. Another Georgia boy. I don't know if you're originally, but you're there in Woodstock, Georgia. James, say hi to everybody.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being on. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, so I also got in the business the same time Tim did in 1989. So been in it for decades, and been very fortunate and blessed to have some incredible opportunities, from owning my own stores to running some very large luxury stores for some great groups. Just recently came out of an exec role with Asbury Automotive Group, overlooking 90 stores for all their pre-owned. So, I think the reason I wanted to be on this is, once again, also to just try to learn as much as I can from people. I've always, I think, had some success along the way. I've adapted to technology before others. It's not because I was the smartest guy by a long shot. It was just simply, this technology is interesting. Let me get involved in it before everybody's into it. So I think that technology, even though it is a little weird, I think we have all this technology, and to be perfectly frank, I don't think enough has even changed with all the technology. So that's also an interesting topic.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time. And we're going to move a little bit further north of Georgia to Toronto, Ontario, where we think all of the tech people look like. We have Nathan Bake joining us, who's the Director of Sales in Spark Capture in Toronto, Ontario, and looks like a Porsche fan. So Nathan, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. Hope everybody is starting off with a fantastic fun day. So my name is Nathan Bake. I'm the co-founder and director of sales for Spark Capture. I've been in the automotive industry since 2007. So I guess I was 3 back at the time when Tim, when you guys started. So I'm a much more younger generation here. I actually started off selling cars, worked my way from being a used car sales rep to being a sales manager for both new and used, and worked up to be a subprime finance director. My specialty has always been in subprime. That's what I kind of grew up with. And in regards to Spark Capture, I started the business with a good friend of mine who I sold a vehicle to back in 2015. With the business, it has been going steadily, but since the pandemic, we've been getting a lot of eyes just in general. And long story short, Spark Capture is pretty much your premium high-end photo, video capture, and inventory system solutions for dealerships just in general. At the forefront, we provide the best visual experience for dealers' inventory. At the same time, we also provide a platform for photographers that wish to pursue a career in photography and also in the automotive industry. And because of that, we're able to actually create the best version of ourselves at the products that we do.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Appreciate you again being here and taking the time. And last but not least, we have Peter Smith, also from Toronto, the Canadian partner of Mobile Dealer Data, which I guess it's all about is data. Peter, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you and your business?
Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be on the show. Myself, I like a couple of the other gentlemen on, joined the business or industry in the 80s, working primarily in sales through management, both in Canada, United States, and in Europe. I spent a number of years over there as well. Came back in the late 90s and worked my way to a general sales manager at a Mercedes dealership, and then left to follow a consulting career. I left that consulting career 10 years later, and went back into the car business, as a lot of people say, once you're in, you're always in, and returned. Spent 3 years in it and decided to get back out into the consulting business after COVID, and came across this opportunity with mobile dealer data. And mobile dealer data is an unknown entity to the digital space in this area, but it's so phenomenal that it took me right out of consulting and directly into working with them. It's basically an asset location system that follows up with a back end of software, so you can understand exactly where your liabilities are and correct them immediately. So it's pretty amazing.
That sounds very interesting, and thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us. I'm really disappointed that nobody has any.
Jeff,
Sorry,
Nicholas as well on the call, so maybe you can give him Nicholas from Matador.
Oh, Nicholas, my apologies. Please.
No worries, Jeff.
I had it on. I had it on speaker view, so forgive me. And of course, joining us is Nicholas with the very cool name Matador. I was about to talk about cool names, and the Matadors behind him, who's the head of growth and operations of Matador.ai. Nicholas, introduce yourself, and my apologies again.
No worries at all. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. Thanks for having me. My name is Nick. I'm heading operations at Matador. I got in the business about 15 years ago, just after finishing college. I've worked with companies such as Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Auto Traders, sold dealer.com websites, did a lot of consulting too. And about a year and a half ago, co-funded a company called Matador. We're a customer experience platform, SMS first automation platform. And I'm definitely looking for today's conversations, because we firmly believe that technology should power customer experience, as well as generating more meaningful and human conversations. So thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Nick.
And again, my apologies. Ian, take it away, please.
Yeah, so I hear from technology companies all the time, every single day. There seems to be a gazillion different companies out there. Without too blatantly promoting your product, how can dealers figure out what product solution they need and who to deal with? Let's start with Tim.
You know, it's funny that Nick mentioned enterprise, because Mike Bystrom, who's the vice president of enterprise car sales, if anybody knows anything about enterprise, they do everything with the highest moral fiber and character. Just a phenomenal company, and we're so blessed to be a very long partner with enterprise, especially during COVID. They have 149 at this point, and growing. At the time, they had 138 or 139, if my memory serves. And he made a statement that said, as a company, collectively, we figured out what type of experience we wanted to give our customers. And then we backed into a technology partner that could give that experience. There's a lot of great tech out there that's not named CarNow. There's a lot of great partners out there. There's a lot of, there's a lot of races going on right now to get bigger and better. So I would encourage anyone, figure out the experience based on your team. Because it's like Marcus Lemonis says, people, product, process, and not necessarily in that order. It's actually people, process, product, right? And then wrap your product around your people, your strengths and weaknesses. And then therefore, if you do that, and you have the ability to overcome and adapt, just like right now, there's an inventory situation. That's a whole other topic that we could have another 2-hour conversation. But landing the plane, find the experience you want to provide, and then back in the tech partner that can provide that experience. quote from Mike Bystrom.
Fantastic thought there. Let's go with Nick next. What do you think?
I think a little bit like Tim just mentioned, products should come last. And like at the end of the day, you need to determine your own business needs and your objectives and to basically identify what you're looking to achieve. And like I'm going to talk about Matador, like we're agile, we're small, we're nimble, we're very innovative, and we probably don't apply to all car dealerships. So we need to recognize the type of like culture that you want to have as a car dealerships and to carefully select the different website providers, chat providers, all those different partners that you surround yourself with. Make sure that you do some introspection on what you want to accomplish and then do the selection process afterwards.
Cool. Nathan?
For myself, we actually like to follow one process. It's the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. With that in mind, just because there's just so much technology that's out there, it doesn't really mean that it benefits you personally. There could be positive and negatives that we found when it comes down to consumer based on technologies in terms of what they hold. Let's say, for instance, I myself, let's say I hold an iPhone 12 Max versus somebody else who is holding a flip phone. They won't be able to have that technological interaction based on the technology that they have. So I would strongly suggest to find a product that be compatible to fit all the type of technological decades that have been implemented for the online presence just in general. And one thing that I also keep in mind is photos are always going to be an entry point in terms of sales. Just in general.
Interesting. Let's go with James.
So how I look at technology is you basically, some of this is going to be a repeat, but without the right people and without the right vision, it doesn't matter how much technology you throw at something. It doesn't matter who you choose to some degree. That, I just believe that you need to figure out how to create wow and delight with the client. And once you create that wow and delight of what that vision looks like, personally, I think it should be meeting the client wherever they want to be met. It's been kind of my saying for a long time right now. If they only want to talk to the dealer base a certain way, email, chat, text, phone, inside the dealership, home delivery, whatever that looks like, and that's a lot of broad things to be able to try to accomplish. But I think that technology has to fit into how you want to try to embrace your clients. And it's got to be different. I truly believe it almost needs to be a deconstruction at this point of the industry and a rebuild. And the people, the smaller, I think the smaller the company it is, the quicker you can do this. These larger companies, I believe, are be at a little bit of a disadvantage. So I think there's lots of opportunity with incredible technologies. There are amazing technologies out there, and so many of them overlap, but you got to figure out what your vision is and then incorporate those. That's my opinion.
Cool. Peter? Can't hear you.
I accidentally hit mute. My apologies. So basically, I've always said when I've talked to people is reverse engineer where you want to be, and technology allows us to define that much easier. But one thing I look at technology is we all need the data, and the data allows us to move forward. But if we don't engage with it, and we have our people engaging with it, it's useless. So my key factor is finding a technology that is simple to use, that allows, as others have said, a benefit to both the vendor and the end user and the customer, a benefit that allows them to see visually and move forward to the direction of where they want to end up, and that allows a true benefit to the dealer.
Fantastic. Great answer. Jeff?
So following up on that last question, how does a dealer legitimately vet the products and the vendors that they're looking at? We have this process of reviews, but there's people out there that sell you products to juggle your reviews too. So how does somebody do that? I'm actually going to go back to Peter on this one, please. Start with you.
Well, thank you. With our system, we offer a money back guarantee. We'll buy back all the hardware after you've engaged with us. Our company has been involved since 2014. Our very first dealer was Longo Toyota, and pretty much everybody in the car business knows who Longo Toyota is. We've been with them for 7 years now, and they're instrumental in our research and development to provide better benefits for other dealerships. In the last 3 years, we've never had anybody take us up on our money back guarantee, which is a fantastic opportunity in itself. And with that, it's you got to look for someone who's going to give you that ROI and stand behind it, and that's what we do.
Great. James, what do you think on that?
So I think there's a couple things from the being a vendor. I think some of the things that you can help create trust is a couple things, and it's going to be similar to what he just said, but no contracts whatsoever. It's month to month, and and I've even said this because I actually came out of the vendor chair for the last 90 days. But I just listen. If it doesn't work, it doesn't do what we said it did at the end of the month. Don't pay us. And and we'll put it in writing. Just don't pay us. Because here's the thing, like you said, you can mess with reviews. Well, send me some client that using a tool. You're going to send them the ones that are getting the best results. I think it's hard to completely vet out a deal. Now, a company's been around for a long time. I think that's a little easier. But the thing is, all the new technology is the word I just used, new technology. You've got all these new technology companies breaking into the industry. I think you just got to make it so that there's absolutely no way that the dealer wouldn't want to at least attempt a shot at this, because I think that there's a lot of crossover with technology right now. So go in there, no contract, don't pay us if it doesn't work at the end of the month. Let us show you the ROI. I think that's the best way from a vendor chair to try to get in and show people what your product's really about.
That's a very, very good point. Kind of reminds me of selling cars and putting a 7-day return policy on it, and just people don't take advantage of it. I also like the references. We'll give you names. Well, they're not going to give you names of people that don't like you.
Correct.
Nick, what's your position on this?
Very, very similar to the other one. So basically, word of mouth is by far our biggest channel when it comes to growth. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. If we have a product that show returns, and the industry is so small from a technology provider's side of things, like I'm sure all of us can name like most of the different technology providers. So it's gated. We know them. We know when someone launches like a new offering, if it works, if people are staying on the product or not. So like reviews, referrals, word of mouth, like we don't want to reinvent the wheel here.
Great. So Tim, we've got a large panel today. So your position, how does a dealer legitimately vet the products or vendors they find interesting?
Well, I'm bragging on our team here, but to Nick's point, word of mouth, a little bit of Nick and James at the same time. When we started out, the sales department was me, and it was my bag and my little Mac, because we had no money in the bank. And the one word that allowed us to grow, I mean, we bragging on our team here, we hit 4,000 dealers before we even had a marketing department or hired a marketing department. And there's one word that we live by, and we serve our dealers. Our team, that's why our support team, there's almost 90 people just in our support team, which is well over almost 4 times as many people that our sales team. Because if I can't, we serve our people, and they went to 20 groups, and they went and they got around, and we never ought to and people ask, now that we've had that growth, we go on podcasts like this, and people say, well, how did how did you possibly grow? They say we're the fastest growing software company in automotive. Whether that's true, I don't know, but it's a very short interview. It's one word, it's serve. Our team does not work for me. I work for them. We serve, and by serving them, they serve our dealers. And look, we don't get it right a lot, but some of our best relationships through the years have been when we've screwed up, because it's all hands on deck to make that right. And again, to steal another thing from James that he just said, I've used that hundreds, probably thousands of times. Listen, if we don't raise your ROI, there's nothing worse, because I sat behind the desk for 2 decades. And not calling out vendors, but vendors would come in and say, man, you crushed it last month. Well, and then they give you their self-generated report. And I'm like, wait a minute, I sold 285. Now I sold, tell me how I crushed it. Well, your VDP, stop! How many cars did I sell? And by paying you, did that increase? Just cut to the chase. So we've taken that road, and again, not perfect, learning. But if you sign up, you know that we are going to have a culture of servanthood, and we are going to absolutely serve our dealers.
That's great points. Great points. I I have to say that that technology solutions in automotive means you must have acronyms, and I don't know how many times I've sat there and gone, oh, let me see, VP, no, R, etc., etc. So the final gentleman on this question is oh my gosh, I got turned. Nathan, you've been sitting there nice and patient. Please tell me your position on how does a dealer vet their products and services. Tell us, please.
I guess me being one of the young guns here, I guess I could provide some good detailed information in terms of what to really look out for. Let's say in a position as a dealer when you're looking for certain products, specifically, let's say even photo capture. I would actually have to agree with James, Nick, and Tim. Word of mouth. That's how we actually grew to as well. Very steady growth. Some key aspects that you should really be looking for when it comes down to online presence or so forth is really the equipment that the service provider is actually utilizing. Let's say, for instance, with us, we use high-end DSLR cameras. These equipments are at least 10K plus. We do not shoot in JPEG files. JPEG files are a lot more smaller. We work in RAW files, which the file size are at least 50 megabytes or higher. So having more details of this will have us better leverage in terms of editing processes and having a good, nice quality of photos to present on the websites just in general. So you need to know that who you're dealing with. So for instance, is this photographer an actual car enthusiast, or are they a legitimate photographer? Do they know how to work with the sunlight? Do they know how to stage the vehicles? These are all the components that you should be really looking towards, because of the fact that your online presence does matter. Say for instance, if you're on Realtor.ca, they're looking for a home in Vancouver, right? You see 2 listings, same pricing, same square footage, everything. But the main key difference is going to be on the photos. Which one are you really going to click on? You'll typically click on the one that has very nice presentation and photos versus the one that has crappy photos over a phone. Everything is just kind of crooked and less or not. So there are a lot of key aspects in terms of details wise when it comes down to photo capture services. So for instance, some examples would be like, are you environmentally friendly? Are you turning off the engine when you're taking the photos so you're not showing the carbon monoxide coming out of the vehicle? Or making sure that you're shooting with the sun and making sure that the centering is correct. The steering wheel is actually aligned correctly. A lot of components. Anything too as well is how quickly are they able to go through this process, or how often are they able to come into your dealership? That's one of the key things that we also found too as well. Certain, let's say, other vendors only to be able to come in once a week or twice a week, whereas us, we're able to actually cater to your needs. If you need us 3 times a week, we'll come in 3 times a week. You need us on a Saturday, we're here on a Saturday. You want us to shoot a new backdrop of your dealership on a Sunday, we're there. The thing is, we're basically pretty much customizable to the way that you want, because every dealership has a different process. Same thing again, contract-wise, we're a month. We don't haggle you down. If you don't want to use us after a month, by all means, it's all good. You give us notice, and we're pretty much done. So far with us, there really hasn't been any clients who has, let's say, let us go. It's more like us, we would have to let them go because there wasn't no business, to be very honest with you. Yeah.
Terrific, thank you. I actually have a question from Alberto, and I'm going to hit it, Nathan, seeing as how you're sitting there looking at me with your bright smiling face. So Alberto says, how does technology affect the sales process in CSI? He said, as a consumer, I would like to experience the tech, but most of the time cars are disconnected. As well as the electronic effects, a lot of electricals and stuff draw things that consumers do not understand. Things like such as a no start due to faster battery failure. So how did excuse me, how did dealers approach it to keep sales? Nathan?
That's actually a very good question. For me, when I was actually doing subprime, to be honest with you, I've been actually just selling over the phone for the last maybe 10 years. I really didn't do anything else besides photos. When it really engages into technology specifically, just able to utilize what you already currently have. Sometimes you don't really need new technology, just more so honing the process and making sure that you're able to transition from one to the other. Right now, everybody's online over their phones. For instance, I don't really believe you need a high-end, phone system in general. It's as long as you're able to pick up the phone immediately or be able to, custodian towards the customer appropriately on a timely manner. That's what matters most. Be able to assist them with the type of customer service that they want.
Great, terrific. We should get moving on. Thanks for the question, Alberto. Ian?
Other than products, which we know are amazing, which type of tech solutions has the highest ROI? Lead generation, CRM, data mining, calling software, others? I mean, there's a lot of talk about video these days as well. What do you think, Tim?
I've said it for going on 7 years now. You can never, I'm going to say it one more time, never sell a vehicle without a conversation, period. And when you we're talking about technology, timing for this podcast is really good. I have the privilege to fly to Nashville tomorrow. Infinity asked us to be the SME on digital. And I reached out to my friend Joe Chura at Cars, who's the founder of Dealer Inspire. And just to make sure that, what people didn't think this was a car now thing. And his data literally walked in lockstep with ours. He looked at 500,000 conversations. We looked at roughly 292,917. I think the biggest, if I'm sitting behind the desk now, the biggest piece of technology is my communication piece. How am I communicating with dealers? Let me just give you a commercial, not a commercial, but a tidbit. Kevin Fry of the Jeff Weiler Group is receiving, by taking just the simple thing of taking the forms off his website, not talking about digital retailing, taking the forms off his website and integrating an automated workflow that then dumps down to a salesperson or BDC. He's receiving right now a 59%, not conversion rate, appointment rate. I'll say that again. Appointment rate. How would you like to have nearly 60%? And it's not rocket science and it doesn't cost a ton of money. There's several companies that can do it. But simple things like that, especially right now, because things have changed. Get e-price is gone because there's no inventory. And check availability, which used to be a horrible CTA. Horrible. Now people just want to know, is the car there? Take the form off the website, get them to the right person. And again, facts eliminate feelings, a 60% appointment rate. Every dealer should take their forms off their websites immediately.
I agree.
Thanks for that. Peter?
With our technology, it's all about location. So our technology allows a dealer or a consumer to know the immediate location of any asset within the dealer, meaning that you can immediately find out what parking spot that car that you're looking for is in. And it downloads through Google Earth and allows you to directly walk the client right to the car. So you're never fumbling around looking for an answer. If you're looking for a key, you know exactly where it is. Even if it's in someone's pant pocket walking around the dealership, you know where it is. So our technology eliminates the lost look of a employee. Now with that, we can also pinpoint the actual process of the car. So if the car's coming off the truck, we know exactly how long it's going to take from coming off the truck to being ready. And we can improve that timing for the dealership on average, approximately 2 days on the recon. And with a new car, we can improve it immediately by allowing the salesperson to know exactly where the car is and what stage, so we can sell it at that point. So when we look at that as a whole, it brings in the availability of interest from the employee now. The employee buy-in is huge, because now you're giving them something that they can work with, and along the lines work with their customers, so the customers know exactly as we said. The inventory is a challenge right now, so anybody who's looking for inventory, they want to know where it is immediately. So that is one of our main benefits.
But from a point of view of ROI from the dealer,
so at ROI, we can measure where their lost time is. So with Longos, for example, they measured out that they're saving approximately 5 minutes per repair order. And when you're talking 600 repair orders a day, it's significant money that they can gain from there. When you're looking at lowering your recon time, it's significant money bringing that car that's very much needed to the dealer to get their inventory out front, because used cars are the mainstay right now because of the lack of new car inventory. So there's a lot of ROI returns. We look at it, we're saving the average dealer anywhere from a small dealer approximately $100,000 a month to a large dealer in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Okay, thanks for that. James, what do you think?
So, a couple things. I think, I hear what Tim's saying, and him and I agree on so much of this. It's got to be, tech is incredible, but if you can't figure out where to have that conversation with that future client and be extremely I know everyone tries to use that word right now. It's almost been overused, but I truly believe it's a real thing. If you can't find a way to engage them with either by phone, chat, text, whatever that tech may be, it boils down to a person. And it boils down to, teaching your team how you want those clients handled. All this technology is incredible. There's tons of great technology. The problem is, I think we use it as a crutch. And I'm a huge believer in technology. I'm an early adapter of technology. The story that Tim just gave, where he had his bag in his hand and it was just him. He came by my store that I was running. I remember that day. I talked to him the other day about it. It was, and look where he's, him and his team have built that company, which is incredible. But technology is just a piece of whatever you're trying to accomplish. It has to be part of your vision, your goal. And I'm going to say it again. If we don't start as a dealer base, because I'm no longer as a vendor, if we don't start as a dealer base, and to all the vendors out there, creating the wow and the delight that the clients are looking for because they're craving it. And we, as a whole, as a dealer base, we struggle with delivery. And it is because we have this old business model that we try to shove technology into, and it's not necessarily working correctly. I think it takes, like I said, a complete deconstruction, and we need to go at this at a totally different pace. And that's why I want to get back into running the store, because I see this opportunity, and it's huge. It's huge. And I'm a firm believer in embracing technology, though.
I got to jump in there. And you guys, if you don't know him, you need to reach out to Alex Flores. I know Sandy knows him. I think James knows him. We were at a conference together and have become, it's like stepbrothers. Did we just become best friends? I mean, I talk to him daily, but Alex has gone into 6 different dealerships, 6, and taken them from 150 quickly to nearly 4, 5. His one Chevy store did 600 from 150, from an average Saturday of 13 to they did 80. And people are asking him why. So I'm going to preach for a second. It's so simple, but listen in, tune in a little bit. He tells his team, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have so much stinking thinking in our space. But he goes into a dealerships and he has dance parties in his sales meetings. The energy, the loving on his people, but yet calling them, holding them accountable. He's done it he's done it 6 times, guys, and now he's a partner. So to James's point, and James, I don't like that I continue to agree with you all the thing, and maybe we'll have an original thought. But no, seriously, I mean, we have to make the decision every day, leaderships and dealerships, to set the tone in our dealerships. Take any you can make any technology great if there's buy-in. Remove the stinking thinking, the way you love and serve your people, and watch what happens. I dare you.
Wow, powerful. 100% agree. Nick, what do you think? It's hard to follow.
I saw something passing by in the comment section, and rather than looking at product and technology, I think we should always be looking at problems as well as opportunities. I think every single dealer faces a different reality. Some people might have challenges with the lead generation, the lead engagement, the appointment rate, the set to show rate. So it's not a one size fits all strategy. So when we look at the issue where it's bleeding, the problem, like you need to identify what's the issue. Do I generate leads, but I cannot convert them into conversations? That was one big issue that we had when we got started working with the big dealer group. We realized that the engagement rates was quite low, but it was actually very high whenever we were using SMS. But the CRM that we use wasn't that convenient to bring SMS at a large scale. So we went to the CRM partner to ask for modifications, and it wasn't possible. So we just figured out, why don't we build something to improve that just a unique part of the customer shopping experience, the engagement part. How can we get in contact with more people and generate those conversations? So whenever we flip the way we look at things, and we try to put ourselves in the shoes of the car dealerships, we need to try to recognize where's the pain point, where's the problem, because generally speaking, it would also be at the same time the biggest opportunity.
Interesting. Have we done everybody? Nathan, did we talk to you about this?
No, but I could add I guess my 2 cents into this. What's a tech solution has the highest ROI? I don't believe that the tech itself will create the highest ROI. Again, I have to agree with everybody else. It's really got to do with the people, the leadership, and to really train them, help them, to excel, to maximize that specific tech to result the highest ROI. I believe all the techs that are out there, everybody has the same vision. They want to grow. They want to create a solution. Same thing with us too as well. It's really, can you really fully utilize that tech itself? Let's say, for instance, everybody has a smartphone, but does everybody know how to utilize it to its fullest extent? Not too many people do, even including myself. So I really do believe it comes down to the people too as well. If you're going to utilize the tech, it really comes down to you and how much time and effort you're going to put in to really learn how to utilize it. Same thing with learning with driving a vehicle. Everybody can drive standard, but you don't really know how to drift. You got to take the time and practice to really know how to drift.
Okay, thanks for that. If anyone doesn't know, we've had a number of different salespeople on the show in the past. One of them is a gentleman called Marco from Toronto. He sold, I think, about 45 or 50 Audis when he worked for an Audi store using technology of various types. We had a show called Old Dogs versus Young Guns. So if you're curious and you want to learn about sort of how you can create a great customer experience using technology, there was a couple really good examples there. Also, George was on from Stillville Toyota. He does some really crazy stuff with video, but all of these individuals are really focused on the customer experience. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think Marco said he used about 60 gigs of data to sell Audis during the early days of the pandemic. But the thing that was constant, which is really what Tim's talking about, is listen, have that conversation no matter how you have to have it, no matter what technology you use, but it's all about the customer, which is something Jeff and I have been preaching for well over a year now on the show. But I think technology alone doesn't solve those problems. You have to really build it into a process and train your people. But next question, Jeff.
Well, it's very funny, and one thing we forget, and most of us here have been salespeople. And one thing we learned in selling cars was, let's ask questions. Let's ask the customer what it is they want. And my personal experience is so many tech solutions walk in and they're telling the customer what the customer wants versus what the customer needs. And Troy, thank you for that comment on the fixes there. Moving right along, gentlemen. Interesting thing. Are people going to be there? So what does the future bring for dealers in tech other than vehicles, which is the big talk right now? And let's go to Tim with that.
So James and I were at a conference a couple of weeks back, and David Spisak gave a statement based on a study that they did with the Vrooms of the world and the Carvanas of the world and these different companies, and now there's a zillion companies that are popping up around. That represents still less than 2% of the cars sold in the United States. By 2030, to quote David, that still is only going to be 13%. A study that we, again, facts eliminate all feelings. When we looked at, with my friend Joe Chura's data and ours, nearly 1 million transactions, 1 million conversations. The majority of people that even finish a deal online still want to go, almost over 60% still want to go into the dealership. So the only thing that I would say is people, especially us in America, love, and Canada, love and have a love fest with automobiles. What they don't want is the back and forth, throw the keys on the roof. And what we are seeing, and again, I'm including his study, it's fresh on my mind because I'm going to Nashville tomorrow. We are also seeing deals that start online, meaning I calculated payment and they don't finish. Okay, there's a very small percentage that finish, but they at least start the deal online. Maybe they figure out a trade. They're gonna bounce when you ask their credit, depending on your PMA. But the majority of them, when you pull a source report in any CRM or tag an event in Google Analytics, depending on the dealership, those deals are between 200 and 400 higher PVR, 200 to higher PVR per vehicle. On top of that, I'm quoting Joe because we didn't do this when he did. When you look at playing in the back end, you talk about engagement, there's a 25% increase in sold rate versus just putting some type of widget on your website. So to land the plane, what that means, people expect, based on the way they shopped in tech last year in the pandemic, totally different. We are selling cars. It's the antithesis right now. If I could preach to any dealer or anybody in sales right now, someone once said, the time to fix a leaky roof is not when it's raining, it's when the sun's outside. That's now. There's 5 customers for every 1 car. So let's get our process down, give customers what they're telling us they want to do. They'll still come into our stores. And as someone once said, experience is the new brand. So to your first question in this podcast, figure out what your experience is, put everybody on the boat. This is where we're going. And then make sure that your experience is the new brand of your dealership, and then never look back.
Very, very good points. It's interesting that you brought up the Carvanas and the Vrooms, etc., because everybody's talking about these people that are saying dealers are so bad and we're all mad about it. But it reminds me about trainers and how they used to train salespeople to deal with that 1 or 2% of the customers that were hard asses. And we watched as all the good people we beat up because the other guys were hard asses. So thank you so much. Troy made a comment too that says on the chat, a lot of the software and tech that dealers are going to be using in 3 to 5 years doesn't even exist yet. It's going to be the ability of the current tech to adapt to the new disruptive tech and in the future and to integrate with each other to succeed. So that's a very, very good point, Troy. Thank you very much. So Nathan, we're going to ask you this question. So what does the future bring for dealers in tech, again, other than vehicles?
I took some time and thought into really thinking about this. I met with a couple of potential clients and so forth and started talking about like what is going to really be happening moving forward in the automotive industry. I'm a little bit afraid of this, but I feel like the buying process is just going to heavily shift where sales reps, business managers will be completely eliminated. And really, at the end of the day, you'll probably only just need delivery coordinators to really just be in part of that process. Scary, but it is possible. Just with how everything is just shifting online. I read something recently too as well, where they stated that out of all the industries, the automotive is the most ancient one to really progress towards shifting online, which is pretty true. What we are seeing right now is really the shift only because of the pandemic itself. Had it not been the pandemic, I think we would still kind of be in that time where just everything's kind of still old school. Now, because of this, pandemic, we have shifted a lot, but really, I think there is going to be a lot of shifting in general, just in the automotive industry.
Thank you so much, Nick. And your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think a lot of things will actually change and happen in the next couple of years. Well, one area I'd like to focus is how dealerships will leverage artificial intelligence and big data in order to improve and increase the overall customer shopping experience. And from a end user or customer point of view, maybe people won't realize that, but whenever we can find ways to enrich the data for the car dealership, so if they can have more information on the people that they interact with, like it could be through like scoring them or like trying to identify where they are at in the purchasing cycle and what type of information they should be using to get in contact with them. Like people will notice the impacts of that, but they won't relate that directly to the technology. So a lot of things will happen. I'm not sure if like everyone will notice that, but at the end of the day, I'm very happy because I think that the end user will definitely benefit from those changes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Super point. And Peter, your position on this?
Well, it's tough to represent a tech company and not promote tech. However, I'm still old school. That, like Tim has says, you most people will enter into a dealership and buy a car through conversation. So we leverage our tech to provide us with the conversation model. I purchased a car completely online. I'm still regretting it. It's a Tesla, so that's the only way you can purchase a Tesla, and it wasn't a enjoyable experience, and that's pure technology. I look back to my other automobiles and look at the enjoyment factor of purchasing them through a number of different German models and things like that. So I believe that tech is going to help us leverage that conversation moving forward and give that benefit of the experience, and that's the model I'm looking at. As much as Carvana and Vroom and all these companies are coming out with, they're only going to be a small portion of it. Like it, as we all know, automobiles are typically your second largest purchase in life. If you look at that, would you purchase a house completely online? Not a chance. Not a chance. So why would you do it with a car?
Yeah, that's I agree with you completely. And James, you're sitting there very patiently, so please weigh in on this question.
So it probably upset some people with all this. Maybe I'm a firm believer in. I think that through the technology, we will see more and more people do more of the hybrid model, because they're still maybe going to want to touch and feel some of the cars. But I actually believe that we will be able to, and I heard him just say that, would you ever buy a house online, without going to see it? People actually do that. People have bought homes that they've never walked through. So I think that, when I'll give you, for instance, if Amazon today decided, and let me tell you something, they're going to, if Amazon decided today to sell used cars or new cars, however they decided to do it online, would they ask their clients to come and take delivery? I can answer that. They won't. What I'm saying is there are so many things when Amazon first came out, as far as You would never buy clothes online because you got to try them on. You don't know if they fit. Shoes, Zappo shoes. That guy's story was amazing. I don't know if you know anything about the guy who created that company. There was a million shoe companies out there. He came online and said he was going to do it different, and he did it way different, highly successful. What my point to that is, I do believe that there's going to be a shift, and people are going, and if Amazon gets in, and it's not if, it's probably when, how are they going to do it? And they're going to grab market share. Want to know why? Because everybody trusts their process of online simplicity, 100% trust value there. They make it seamless. It's not, you got to click 10,000 million things in order to make a purchase. And I understand a car is a little bit more difficult because you got to get financing. You may have a trade, but I can promise you, we're going to figure it out. It's there. There's an opportunity here in the industry that I think should be embraced way sooner than some people are willing to do it. And embracing this delivery system on delivery, I'm not saying to just totally walk away from brick and mortar. That's not what I'm saying. But I do believe there's still a piece of that for quite a while. But what I'm saying is, if you want to get in front of this, I truly believe this online digital retail, that's the new catchphrase, the digital retail space is real. There's too many companies being successful at it, and it's going to continue to grow.
Well, that's a very good point. And while you were talking, I was just sitting there thinking to myself, Amazon could very well handle the sale, could very well handle the delivery. They're big enough that they would do the financing and do instant approval. And the one thing that would be the touch point on that is still the guys with tattoos coming to repossess the car. You couldn't repossess it online. Sandy made a comment that she said, as a consumer, she would purchase a home or car unseen only if she had a trustable relationship with the broker or salesperson, sales manager. The conversation is awesome. Of course, all of ours are. And makes me think of Gen Z, soon to be our biggest employee cohort and consumer cohort. And sorry, I got to scroll down here a little bit. And a fun fact, they crave face-to-face contact. And Ian, I'll leave it with you to continue from here.
Yeah, and Pamela Phillip had some comments there about buying a Mercedes from Poland Mercedes, obviously the Sentes group that we had on before. I think it's entirely possible. I think it's just a question of really, figuring it out. I mean, in the early days of the pandemic, Microsoft Teams and other solutions, dealers were picking them up and using them. And I think it's really just a question of what brand are you representing and what experience are you creating, as to Tim's point and James' point, everybody else's point, and how can you make it work? Because customers want it to be frictionless, as Brian Benstock likes to say, and I agree with that. I've always agreed with that. You should always make it easier for someone to buy than not buy. Amazon isn't perfect, but they're a pretty big scale company and they know what they're doing. And if you don't think they're figuring out automotive, I have many good buddies who work for them, including a huge office they're building here in Vancouver, and yeah, they're looking at it. It's all about the customer. That's always what they've been about. But we're out of time. Any final comments?
I would just like to say, remember what Jim Keyes said, which is now a famous quote, former CEO of Blockbuster. Neither Redbox or Netflix are even on our radar as far as competition, end quote.
Exactly.
I do have to say one thing. A fellow that I follow on LinkedIn I read every post he makes, is Dan Price of Gravity Payments. And if those of you might remember, he's the fellow that gave up his salary so he could make sure that all of his employees made a minimum of $70,000 a year. And one comment he made, though, and yes, Amazon is something you got to watch for, is take a look at who takes care of their employees too, because in the end, it's all about people. That's a very good point. And with that, any other comments from anybody?
Just wanted to say thank you for everyone coming on today. It was great information shared by all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate all of you being here. We kind of view ourselves as the matchmaker of the automotive industry, because we have a lot of people that have connected through us and have grown all sorts of relationships. So we appreciate everybody being here and the new connections. Tim, you're new, and James, you're new ones of mine, and same thing with with Nathan. So thank you all for joining us. Ian, I'll leave it to you to close the show.
We are having a show on digital retail next week. So if you're curious about that topic, it should be interesting. We're going to have some heavy hitters on, and we always like hot questions around digital retail because it's really a question dealers ask me every single day. Why should I give you $2,000 to have a digital retail piece? And, we've had them on before, but I think it's really an interesting discussion, and I'd love to have some other people on to ask them harder questions because I think it's going to be very interesting. But thanks for coming on today. Really appreciate it. Lots of great stuff, and have yourself a great week.
So much.
And happy 4th of July to our American friends.
Exactly.
Bye-bye. Thanks, all.
Thank you.
Everybody. Tim, have a safe trip.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy.
Thanks, Andy.